back to HTP Podcast, where we go beyond just strokes and strategy. And our mission is to change the culture of tennis, having one conversation at a time through a more positive and holistic approach. And today we have Spencer. So Spencer and I actually met at Martin Blackman's Academy. I got to be a part of one of many other coaches to coach you for, how long was it exactly? How long were you at Martin's?
I feel like I moved down when I was like 12 or 13. I was definitely there for at least 2 years.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
full time. I would come down in the summers and stuff, but like full time, I was at least 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got to meet at Martin's, which was an amazing program till this day. I feel like there's nothing quite else like it out there.
Yeah.
Spencer, tell me all the good things, how you got started in tennis, your love and hate relationship with tennis, and then what you're currently doing now, which is really cool, being a hitting partner for, what is she, top 5 in the world right now?
Yeah, she's top 5.
Yeah. That's amazing. So
Yeah. Spencer, Gray, everyone. I started playing tennis when I was 7. I think 7 years old is when I started. My mom played kind of just like on a club, like a USTA club league, like not a very high level. But we belonged, I think it was called like a health plex. So it was like you could kind of do tennis, swim, like all these sports. Like it was kind of like a big recreation thing in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is where I'm from. And kind of just started getting into some lessons like here and there with like my brother or like my neighbors, kind of stuff like that. I played like every sport growing up. Baseball, soccer, tennis, basketball. Like I kind of did it all. Actually, my early years of playing sports, I was a pretty good soccer player. I think my parents always thought I was going to be a soccer player. I was on like a select team and played in a higher age division. I was kind of a stud at soccer. It's actually even funnier to go back even further. Before I even played real sports, they also thought I was going to be a basketball player because I was always shooting hoops in like a little toy basketball thing in our basement. It was so funny. But anyways, 10 years old, which is like pretty young. I was always like a weird, like very ultra competitive, like from a young age. But around 10 years old, and my mom still tells me stories to this day. Like she had to drag me to soccer practice. I just only wanted to play tennis because I was like just super competitive. And like we had some guys that ended up like, I was on like a really good select team and we had some guys that quit the team. So our team wasn't as good anymore. And I was like the best player on the team. But then every time we lose, like I would just be pissed. Like at that young age, I just kind of really liked the individual aspect of tennis from 10 years old. Kind of just took that and ran with it. It's kind of funny to like think back to when I first started playing. I would have never thought that my career would have gone to like what it has, just because that was never like I never was started playing tennis to like get to a high level. It was kind of just like, let's try it out. 10 to 12 years old, I was still in Cincinnati, and that's kind of where I like really kind of started getting competitive, playing a lot more tournaments, doing more national level tournaments. I actually went online school. Like this is going to sound crazy, but I started online school, I think, in 6th grade, which is like crazy, crazy young. I don't even know how old that is. Like maybe that's like 11. I don't even know. 11, 12.
Yeah.
Very young. My parents tried to get me not to. They weren't on board with it, but I was like, all I wanted to do was just play tennis, and I wanted to. 2 hours a day wasn't enough for me, even at that age. I wanted to do in the morning and the afternoon, and I literally trained like a professional from 11 years old, and that's how I wanted to. It was all my parents always used to say they were, this is his choice. We're not pushing this on him. This is all him, which is true. It was literally all me. That was kind of hard to do in Cincinnati because like that's not really normal up there. Like it's not I was literally the only kid I knew that was like doing that for any sort of sport. I think looking back, I probably wouldn't have done that if I like known. I can't change time. I was obviously always very competitive, big perfectionist, and it's so long ago. I've like deleted it out of my memory. Tennis for me from age around the time when that started, when I was doing like online school, really became like a job. You know, I still obviously always had the love for the sport. I still do. It's not like I hated the sport at that age, but it was a job. I had a coach for about a year who was being really bad. And I don't like, a lot of people don't really know this, but it was bad. I look back now and like I see like 11-year-olds and I'm like, how could anybody ever treat an 11-year-old like that? It was bad. Worked with this coach before I went online school. And it was a very different experience because I was kind of in a group with a bunch of kids and like whatever. And then it's when I went online school and I started getting really good. I was #1 in the Midwest and started getting a national ranking. I just remember every single day like having anxiety when I walked into practice, and he was very mean. He would pick on stuff not revolved around my game. He would pick on me as a little
Oh,
kid as well. I wasn't ever allowed to kind of make mistakes. And the toughest part too is like at the time, all my best friends were all kind of with this coach because I would go with him in the morning and then we would all kind of go out to the group practices in the afternoon after they finished their school and stuff. And like they all had like an amazing relationship with this coach and he treated them incredible. I wasn't even afraid of him. I just despised him. Like I didn't even have a phone at that time. I would have to go the amount of times that something would happen at practice and I would leave or he would make me leave and he would like I would have to go up to the front of the building and like call my parents and tell them to pick me up. Very much manipulated the situation. Kind of I remember at 11 my parents had no idea what was going on because like I felt like I didn't even have a voice to tell them what was going on.
yeah.
One day our neighbor there was like a track behind the courts and was walking on the track and like heard the way that he was talking to me to one of our practices and told my parents. That's when my parents' eyes really opened and I remember they sat me down, what's going on, like what do the practices look like, and that's kind of when it all came out. He was bad. I mean, he would pick on me as a player, pick on me as a person, and then in practice one day he would have me play a practice set against a kid who was like 2 or 3 years older than me. He would only stand on his side of the court and coach him the entire time of how to beat me. And I remember they'd be kind of laughing with each other and I was just over there, a little kid, what's going on? And then if I missed a
Yeah.
shot, he'd be like, suck, all this stuff. I never lost to this kid. I remember the only time I lost to him was one time. This kid that was 3 years older than me, he got my entire group of friends together, 10 people in this practice. He's like, let's all get water. I'm just so proud of so and so for beating Spencer today. Like this is really like yeah, like bad. Like it was
What?
bad. It was bad. Like it was really bad. Like I'm a very
Wow.
very tough person and I've always been a very tough person, but like an 11-year-old, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I could talk to literally like an hour about this. I'm not gonna do the whole time.
Yeah.
It was bad. And at the time, I was number one in the Midwest. I was top 20 in the country. I was fully sponsored by Wilson. And I had zero confidence. I didn't think I was good. 6 months before I moved to Florida, I switched coaches. My parents realized what was going on. It was hard to make that switch because there wasn't a lot of good coaches in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And the one that was like 30 minutes from my house. And parents had 2 other kids to take care of and all this stuff. I did switch coaches 6 months before I moved to Florida, and it was Lynn McNally, who her daughter Katie McNally is top 100 in the world. Her son played for Ohio State. I actually was just with them at the Yankees game like 3 days ago in New York. I still talk to them all the time, and I still like remember to this day like the first time I got on court with her, and she was like, "Do you know like you're like stud of the Midwest? Everybody wants to be you. You're the number one player." And I was like, "I am," and like that's just goes to show you like I had no confidence because
Yeah.
I was belittled and told like how much I suck, and everything was always so negative. There was no positives. Even if I won a tournament, I would come into the practice next day and miss a shot and be like, "You're satisfied. You're just satisfied because you won that one tournament, and you're content and you're happy."
Wow.
Like it was always there was no positives. I don't want to say messed me up, but like that was a hard thing for an 11-year-old to go through.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
100%. And at that age, you don't know any better
yeah,
other than you're like this, like a part of you does know, but you, like you said, you don't always know how to voice it or
yeah,
process it.
yeah.
And then the other side is just like, this is a big part of
Hmm.
me wanting to like do this podcast is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Situations like that happen more often than not. And
yeah.
parents are also a little bit different today, where a lot of the time they will just do whatever the child says. But,
Right.
before that, a lot of the time the parents would do whatever the coaches says.
Hmm.
And in some ways that's good. They're on board, like coaches want that. But in like your situation, other situations, like at some point I want to do a video of like red flags with
Yeah.
coaches and players,
Seriously.
because I
Seriously.
mean, what happened with you? I mean, I had different negative
Yeah.
experience with coaches too. I mean, I
Yeah.
even had a player mom contact me after, I had moved on from coaching competitive juniors, and she was like, I don't know exactly what's happening. I was like, okay, kind of like tell me a little bit of the details. And she was saying like, oh, she has no more, motivation to play on the court. I was like, red flag. Like,
Hmm.
this is a person who wants to be on the court and wants to
Right.
try hard. I was
Right.
like, how many hours? What are they doing? I was like, red
Yeah.
flag, red
Red
flag,
flag.
red
Yeah.
flag. And I
Yeah.
was like, get out of there. And I thought the coach that they were at was actually like a really good coach.
Yeah.
And anytime I was around that coach, they never acted that way.
Mm.
It was the craziest thing.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was in my situation. Like nobody knew that it was going on for so long because he was literally
Yeah.
only did that with me and was so different with everyone else. Like looking back, I think it was when online school, I was his top player. Like I was the star. I think for some reason in his head, he like thought like I'm gonna like make this guy so tough. But like you're 11 years old. It wasn't even making me tough. It was just mean, and it
That's
was
bad coaching. That's really
yeah, it's
bad.
bad coaching. Yeah,
Yeah.
but anyways, yeah,
Yeah, it's unfortunate you had to go through that. Thank you for sharing that because I
yeah, of
know
course.
a lot of players don't always want to share that
Yeah.
side of tennis, but it's so important and I can't emphasize enough parents like if you really see big changes in your players, go talk to them. Check out
Yeah.
a practice, you know, even if your work schedule is crazy, like try and see exactly what's happening. Kids are young, they don't know how to express themselves
Right.
or voice it
Yeah.
at times.
Yeah.
So you really have to kind of read between the lines at times. So going from obviously that horrible and negative experience, and then you
hmm
were saying you got a new coach for six
hmm
months and then
hmm
you moved to Florida.
Yeah, that was like it was like complete like 180. I mean, moving to Florida was probably one of the best things I'd say than going to college, playing college tennis. Those are like two best things that happened to me in my
Yeah.
life. I obviously went into this like went from this apart from the 6 months that I was with Lynn McNally, I went from this toxic kind of tennis situation where I just felt stuck and I was like the only person that was going through this, all this stuff, to then going to, Martin's and being in an academy with these amazing coaches that are like push you and make you work hard. It was just so different. It was like, wow, this is a positive experience. I'm not like afraid to like step on court every single day. Again, I went from being the only kid in probably Cincinnati to doing online school for the sport to then like I'm in an academy where like there's 10, 15, 20 kids all doing online school and training every single day. It was nice because I felt like I was like in a family environment where I was able to like put in a lot of work and it was healthy and it was like very beneficial and I had amazing coaches and it was a complete 180, which is exactly what I needed. Best results I've ever had while I was there. So it was like a dream scenario. I do remember for like maybe a year, every now and then I would go to the USTA. Obviously, I was full time, but then there would be like once or twice a week here and there. I'd go out to the USTA because it was free. And I remember I hated it. I always hated it because I felt like I was back in Cincinnati. I was like, this is not it. And I don't think I did that often because I just need to be in this environment where I'm with my friends every single day. We're working so hard and we're having these coaches that push us. Then we're going to go get water afterwards and we're all joking and having fun. It's not like you
Yeah.
come in here and it's a job. That was a dream because my issue, I never had any problems with hard work or getting pushed or all
Yep.
that stuff. I loved that and I wanted that in a healthy way.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that was amazing. And I still wish I could go back there for like one day, like spend one more day there. Like that was like the dream little academy that we had.
Yeah.
And then obviously Martin then left to USTA
Yeah.
and the academy kind of broke up a little bit, which was sad. Like such amazing memories and so many amazing players that came out of there, like truly. And I remember kind of like being like, oh man, like what am I gonna do? Like who's gonna be? And at this point, like I had such a healthy relationship with tennis, and like I mean, healthy in the extent of my training. I was still always like, as most tennis players are, when you lose a match, like you're, very perfectionist, very tough on
Yeah.
yourself. I still loved it, and it was healthy. But I remember for a couple weeks, I was like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Martin actually called my mom. It was like, there's this coach. He literally just moved down here 3 weeks ago. I think he'd be a perfect for Spencer. His name was Mark Merklin, who is now Jess Pegula's coach. I started working with Mark right after Martin's kind of ended.
Okay.
And Mark was 2 or 3 time All-American at Florida. He won the singles and doubles NCAAs, like
Wow.
top 30 in the world of doubles, won 30 in singles. Very good player. Coached at Michigan and Florida before
Okay.
moving to Boca. His wife's entire family, they all live in Boca. So the wife was like, we need to go back to Boca. That timing in itself, I was like, wow, he moves like 3 weeks around the same time that Martin's kind of ended. Like that timing in itself is special. And I remember the first day that I went out to the country club that he was working at and hit with him. And I was like, oh yeah, like this is the perfect vibe, like big mesh, exactly what I needed. And I think at that age, like I think I was like probably 16 at that point, and I think I was kind of more ready to have more of like a one-on-one. Obviously, Martin's was you had so much one-on-one time, but like you're still I mean, it's an academy, but it's like it was
Yeah.
a small academy. So I would have
Yeah.
easily done that until I was 18. After it ended, I was like, I don't know if I want to go to one of these big academies. I'm at 16 now. I'm very mature in my tennis.
Yeah.
I'm traveling all over the country, all over the world. I'm ready for something more personal.
Yeah.
I just worked with him until I went to college. He was able to kind of bring out a couple of guys in the afternoons or evenings, and we kind of had a little group going. I don't want to say it was like tailored toward to me. I don't know if they would have had that if I wasn't out there training there. I think I also kind of brought some of them in as
Hmm.
well because like I was one of the top players in Florida, so like that worked really well for me up until, I went off to school. I went to Auburn University, committed there when I was like 17,
Okay.
and spent 4 years there, graduated there in 2023,
Okay.
and loved my experience there.
Awesome.
I think that's honestly college, and I think most people say this, but like college is where I grew the most. College tennis is so fun, and like anybody that has the opportunity to play, I would always recommend to go play. Playing on a team, working out, and going through these practices and playing the matches with the same group of guys around you, guys or girls around you, who become your like best friends. Truly an amazing experience, and like tennis goes from being such a like individual and kind of lonely sport to like all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. Like all these people around me, I can lose and we can still win the match. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? Like it was like so it was really, really awesome. I grew a lot as a person. I grew a lot as a leader. I grew a lot as a tennis player. The coaches at Auburn are the type of coaches that push you in all facets of your life, not just like
Right.
tennis.
I love
Like
that.
they allowed me to grow on the court, off the court, like in all areas. They really pushed me. They pushed me into like leadership roles, within the athletics department. They pushed me academically. Obviously, they pushed me on the court, and I feel like I came in there as a like kind of timid freshman, relatively shy. It was online school, like all this stuff. To my senior year, I knew every single athlete on campus. I was the captain of the team. I was in all these leadership roles within athletics. Just completely changed, like just morphed into this like new person, and it was like really cool. I remember looking back on my senior day of like where I was and then where I'm now. I'm like, that's crazy, like the
Yeah.
difference. Obviously, a lot of that is for myself and being, pushing myself and
Hmm.
determination, but a lot of that too is like the coaches really did push me in all those areas, which helps because
Yeah.
that's not always the case.
Oh, it's not. That's
Yeah,
amazing to have
yeah,
that college experience like that and for
yeah,
them to keep like pushing you on and off the court
yeah,
because you can go into these big D1 programs like
yeah.
Auburn and they're
Hmm.
so tennis focused.
Hmm.
And it can be super grueling
Yeah,
because with your age group and younger age groups, like college coaches are starting to realize like kids want more than just tennis. They want that academics. And
right.
I also think too, like with your generation, like it was more open to go to college and then to go
Hmm.
pro. Whereas like
Hmm.
my generation, it was like you go pro or you go
Or nothing.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like that was it. So it was like
Yeah.
going to college was
Yeah.
like, oh, you're not good. Whereas like
Yeah.
your generation, it was like, oh no, this is part of the pathway to
Right.
go
Right.
pro. And I think that is amazing with that college experience too.
Yeah. And I still talk to those coaches like all the time,
That's
both the
awesome.
head coach and the associate head coach. Like I still talk to them all the time. So yeah, I've got a really good relationship with them. So I graduated in May of 2023 from Auburn, got my diploma in finance, and I had one more year of eligibility because of COVID. So we had an extra year. Being on the fence of like, do I want to do my fifth year here? Do I want to transfer? The easier option would have been to do my fifth year there because I loved it there. I knew everybody there, all this stuff. I felt like I wouldn't grow at all
Okay.
anymore. As I felt like I had kind of reached my growth potential there,
Yeah.
and which is totally normal. I wanted to push myself and go outside my comfort zone a little bit and take a fifth year. It's so funny. I feel like sometimes transferring, you're like, oh, still close to the team, or you still close with the coaches. Like, what happened? I feel like my scenario was so different because I had already graduated. My coaches were super supportive of it. They were like, please, like, go do it. Like, if any coach wants to talk to us, we will happily, take their phone calls and advocate for you. I remember the assistant coach was like, whatever school you commit to, you better ship me a hat because I'm going to wear it around so proudly. Like, very healthy and like good.
Yeah.
And yes, it was actually in December of my senior year, I entered the portal for the fifth year. So obviously at the full spring in Auburn, but I actually remember like being at an individual with my head coach, and he was like, "What do you want to do for next year?" Oh, that's like the $1 million question. It was kind of like if you think that it's going to be better for you and you're going to grow more as a person, don't be afraid to do that. There's going to
Mm,
be no bad blood or anything there. It was hard, but I ended up thinking that that was the best thing to do for me. I felt like I kind of reached my growth limit in terms of like tennis and as a person as well. I was
mhm.
super, super comfortable, almost too comfortable there. I kind of want to go on a team and be the star and kind of be like the number one
Yeah.
and see how well I can do. I ended up transferring to Charlotte,
Yeah.
UNC Charlotte, but it's kind of like rebranded and they like to go by Charlotte now. It was like their first year in the American Athletic Conference, so they had just moved up to like a tougher conference. This has like Tulsa, Tulane. At the time, SMU was still there.
Okay.
Memphis. So like there's like a lot of good teams. I think at the time, like, that the year that I was there, I would say like other than the Power Five, like that was like the next biggest conference,
Okay.
which is why I was like kind of drawn into the. They
Hmm.
also had like a beautiful campus. The tennis facility was insane, and I really liked the coach.
Charlotte's a cool city too.
It's a very cool city as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fall semester was hard. It was not easy. I grew so much as a person that semester because I transferred for the spring. That was the reason why I wanted to transfer was my spring experience of being the star player and all this stuff. And like the fall, I was kind of like, what am I doing here? I went from knowing everyone on not everyone but I knew so many people at Auburn.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
sister went there. Like I'm in this new big city. I don't know a single person on school, on the team. And
Yeah.
to make matters worse, like I'm a grad student, so I'm on the grad campus, which was pretty cool, but it was downtown Charlotte. It was off campus of the main
Oh.
campus. I not even like acclimated to the campus. So it was tough. Like I remember there was a lot of days where I was
Hmm.
really, really, really down. Again, I mean, that's why I did it because I wanted to challenge myself and I got out of that situation. Like I just put my head down and I kept going. I put myself out there more. I luckily had an amazing roommate and he was also my teammate. The team, I love all of my teammates still. I was still just getting to know them early on in the fall. Had an amazing athletic trainer who like I actually got really close with and would come in and get treatment. The spring is really where I like flourished.
Mm.
I learned to like suffer through the fall
Yeah.
to get to the spring
Okay.
type of thing. And I wouldn't say like suffer, but like for a couple months, but then like, I still wasn't like, oh, I'm like loving this and super happy.
Yeah.
The spring was probably one of my favorite semesters of college of
Okay.
all my 5 years. And like that taught me a huge lesson of like,
Wow.
seasons of like, I don't know, like sometimes you have to go through a hard moment to get to an amazing moment.
Yeah.
And also looking back, leaving college and going into the real world is a very daunting thing sometimes. It's very hard for a lot of people because it's a big change. I feel like that was so much easier for me because I was like, well, I got through that fall. Like, if I got through that fall, I can get through anything.
Yeah.
That helped me a lot. The spring is where I really felt like I bonded and got so much closer with the team. I think because you're traveling so much, you start traveling every weekend, you're with them so
Yeah.
much more. I actually am like really starting to click with these guys and I really love them and all this stuff. And I played one the entire year. Honestly, didn't have a great fall. I didn't think I was going to be playing one. The time that I was home for winter break, really worked hard and I played a lot of tournaments and I did really, really good in those tournaments because I was like so adamant about playing one. Year I had some incredible wins that I think
Awesome.
a lot of people didn't necessarily expect that I could beat some of these players. We ended up winning the conference championship.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it was Charlotte's first time in that conference. So like winning it the first year that
Wow.
you're in there is
Yeah.
pretty cool. And it was their second conference championship in program history. We were tied for the most wins in program history. We reached the highest ranking in program history, and we made the NCAA tournament for the second time in program history.
That's
It was
amazing.
really cool to be a part of. And honestly, the year before, I think they had like a losing record.
Okay.
And so like to come in and I wasn't the only contributing factor. It was a whole team
Yeah.
that bought into this thing and all this stuff. But like to come in and then play one and have that the season that we had, it was just such a cool experience to be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
How
yeah.
amazing.
So it was like very, very rewarding. It was incredible. After that season, I kind of realized like, wow, that season was so good. Like I can try to play professional tennis because I'm going to be honest, like at Auburn, like especially going into my senior year, I wasn't sure if I wanted to play professional tennis afterwards.
Okay.
Like I wasn't sure if that was on the cards for me. I wasn't sure if that was something I wanted to do. I didn't even know if I was like, am I good enough to play? Like I don't know. Like not in like a negative way. Yeah, that fifth year at Charlotte and how good I did, really, I was like, oh wow, like I would be stupid to not go try to play right now. Like I just had like such an amazing, like the best year of college I've ever had, beat some amazing players. Like I should definitely go give this a shot. I played for a year. I think I had like a 2 or 3 month period where I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I did love it. It was a good experience. I didn't necessarily plan on ending after a year as well. I'm done. It was
Yeah.
never like that. I had 4 or 5 points, and I actually wasn't playing as many tournaments as I should have. Looking back, I should have been playing a lot more tournaments. The thing with professional tennis, it's so hard. Like, It's so hard. Like
Yeah.
it's way like I actually think if I just graduated now
Yeah.
and I went to go play, I actually think I would do a lot better because I know so much more now after one
Mm,
year. You almost need a year to just acclimate and learn what goes on. It's so much more than tennis. Like you go from college to where everything's taken care of, all the logistics. All you have to do is show on court, show up to the
mm,
gym. Now you're like, oh, I'm on my own.
yeah.
Financially, it's very hard planning where to travel, where to go to, who to travel with, what hotel to book, what flight to book, who am I going to hit with today to train with, who, oh, can I hit with a coach, but how much money is that going to cost? It's tough.
I felt the same, and I think a lot
Yeah.
of people do. It's like you go from college having like this whole team experience at a top D1 school. You have so many resources
Oh, many.
too,
Yeah.
and it's all free.
Yeah.
It's
It's
all
free.
free.
Yeah.
And so you don't really think about that when you're about to start playing pro tournaments, and it's just you.
Hmm.
You no longer have a coach who's traveling with you. You
Yeah.
no longer have a team who's with you, and you're everything. You're the manager, you're the coach,
Yep.
you're the person scheduling everything. And unless you have resources or you're on the top for the
Hmm.
federation to support you,
Right.
you're doing everything yourself. Absolutely right. It's no longer just tennis anymore. It's
Yeah.
so many more management skills I didn't know I need.
Yeah. 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 It's not easy. We love that quote. We use that
Yeah.
one all the time. It's not easy. Um, yeah, the first couple months of playing, obviously it was like loving it just because you're like running on fumes almost.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I'm actually doing this. And I had some good results, picked up my first couple points, was like, let's go.
Yeah.
And then, you go through a stretch where you've got like two or three bad tournaments. And like, unfortunately, like you can't just have two or three bad tournaments. Right, we'll just go to the next one because it's like, well, I need money. Like, I need to, like, like I'm not going to travel all this way and spend all this money if I'm playing terrible. Kind of kept battling with that for the next like years, like year,
Hmm.
but was in a relatively good place when I stopped. January, February 2025, I was in Mexico with one of my old Auburn teammates playing some tournaments. We were there for 2 weeks. We were playing in 10,000 feet of altitude. It was
And
tough.
yeah.
I had a pretty good tournament the first week, and then the second week, I think I lost my first round.
Okay.
The altitude just beat me up. It was like I remember being in the Airbnb. I'm never coming here again. Like just good to know. Like we can scratch that one off the list. Like no
Yeah.
more altitude because I can't play in altitude.
It's hard.
And then my coach called me. My coach, who is also Jessica Pegula's coach. I remember I was like, oh, he probably wants to talk about the match. Like, and I answered, and he was like, how are you doing? Da, da, da. We caught 5 minutes of small talk. He was like, well, I don't want to ask you this right now because you lost today, so I don't want it to like, lapse your judgment. And I was like, no, like I'm completely fine. He's like, keeps asking about having more of like a full-time hitter to travel with her, and the agent's starting to look at some people. She keeps asking about you, and I'm like, I would love to have you on the road with us and like be with us, be a part of the team. I just had to tell you because I didn't want the opportunity to slip up. And then they found someone else. I remember being like, okay, give me like a day, let me think about this, talk this through. Called my mom, talked to my teammate that I was with in Mexico. I remember like sitting in my bed after like an hour from the phone call, and I'd be like, why would I not do that? Like why would I not
Yeah.
say yes to that? Especially because I've known Jess for like 8 years and I consider
Hmm.
her a friend. I just knew it was going to be with Jess and my coach that I've had since I was like 15, 16. Like, that's an amazing scenario. I ended up saying yes to that. I didn't know if I was going to be done with professional tennis. I didn't know if it was going to be like, well, I do a little bit of both. I started at the Miami Open this year in March and have been going strong all the way through. It's like I don't go to every tournament. I've probably gone to like 80% of them. I didn't go to Wimbledon. I've gone to most. We all live in Boca. When she's home, we're all training in Boca, which is nice. I've just fell in love with it. It's amazing. I have such a great time. I feel like especially because I'm so close with Jess and with the coach as well. He always
Yeah.
says, I'm training you to be a WTA coach. And I feel like I'm not just the hitter. I don't just hit balls and then like that's it. I call it a day. I'm very involved with her and with the
Yeah.
team.
What a
Um,
unique experience you have with
mhm.
being a hitting partner for Jess, but also already knowing the coach, already knowing her,
Yeah,
and then also him wanting to support you and motivate you
yeah,
of like, hey, you know what? You could have these tools to become a WTA coach.
yeah,
And what like an amazing experience. Like so many people want, would want
yeah,
that. And
yeah,
how cool you can go to, the top of
Yeah.
tennis and
Yeah.
be around that, because not too many people get to do that.
Yeah, it's super cool. I remember like the first tournament I went to, and I saw all the faces on all the players, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to get used to this. And now I don't bat an eye. It's just so normal. You just see them all every single week.
Yeah,
Like it's not that it's
it's
nothing crazy
normal.
anymore. Like I remember like even in there was a clay court tournament in Stuttgart, Germany, like a 500,
Mhm.
and I was the only one that went with her. It was just me, her, and her husband, and then she had a physio that flew in. Like I like, that was already a tournament where like I had a lot more responsibility and a lot more like to do. And she was
Mhm.
three in the world at the time. Like how cool is that? Traveling alone with the number three player in the world.
Heck yeah.
In between Montreal, yeah, in between Montreal and Cincinnati this year. 'Cause Jess has two coaches, Merklin and then Mark Knowles, and love both of them. Mark Knowles doesn't live in Boca. I think Mark Merklin does a little bit more time on the road. One of the Marks did in Montreal, one of the other Marks did Cincy. A 4 or 5 day period where we were in Cincinnati, and it was just me and Jess. Mark Knowles didn't come in until I think a day or two
Okay.
before Jess played. I'm there, I'm setting up her hits with players, I'm texting players, coaches, I'm booking the practice courts, I'm getting the rackets, I'm hitting with her, we're talking through the practices. It's pretty cool to like do that. And it also helps that I'm so close with Jess before I started. I feel more confident to say certain things or to have certain conversations and
Yeah.
be in that role. I honestly think now if I were to work with a WTA player like as a full-time coach, I would have no doubt or no like worries or like I remember the first time when I went to Stuttgart because it was pretty early on with me working with her, I was like kind of like, oh my God, I'm freaking out a little bit like, oh, this is going to be a lot of responsibility on me. If I did
Yeah.
that now, I would be like, okay, like chill, it's easy. Like no problem.
What's
So
one of your favorite parts of being on a team like that?
how close we are. Like we have a lot of fun. I wish people could read some of our group chats that we were at the tournaments. Like they're hilarious. I take screenshots because they're so funny. Look through them later on. We do escape rooms. We obviously sightsee when we're in certain places, get dinners. DC and Cincinnati this year, we stayed in a house. So that was kind of fun. It's always good vibes. It's when Jess loses. I mean, obviously she's upset. She's a competitor, but like after
Yeah,
an hour, there's not really like a period where there's some tension. Like this is like, no, like it's a very chill, easygoing, like fun, hardworking team. And it's really cool to be a part of.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah.
That's amazing, Spencer. You're so young. You have so much like
Hmm.
ahead of you, so many
Yeah.
different options. I'm really excited for you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I know. I
And
still like to this day. I still tell people I'm like I'm done playing, but then I'm like, oh, I'm 24, so you never know. I think I'm like 95% sure I'm done playing, but we'll see.
yeah,
I keep it there because I'm still 24. I'm really enjoying this, so I'll just keep doing it. Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, that's like once in a lifetime experience that you
yeah,
have right now. So how
yeah.
could you not take advantage of that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome, Spencer. Well, thank you so much for sharing
Yeah.
your
Thank you.
story today. If you guys like these tennis tales, please like, share, and subscribe.